Pre-hard mode Mage gets a bad rap, and pre-Skeletron Mage is often cited as an absolute pain to play. And it's understandable why. Most people look at the gem staves and perhaps rightly say that they aren't very good. Now, Mage in this phase of the game does have a few ways you can break it, by either gathering materials needed for jungle armor or the painful process of slowly grinding a demon scythe through the game. Mage can be the most busted class pre-boss, but few people are willing to go through the slog of obtaining the necessary equipment to do so, and I don't think this is a bad thing. What I do think is that most people don't understand the proper way to play Mage in pre-hard mode, or just how good and viable it really is. In an effort to prove this, I have created a special Mage roadmap that I think will best utilize Mage's strengths to prove the viability of pre-Skeletron Mage. We open the world and start chopping trees. Unlike some people, I'm not a class purist. I will not be limiting myself to only using Mage items by doing something as ridiculous as not allowing myself to use my copper short sword. Other people can do that if that's what they really want to do, but personally, I think that playing a certain class and having fun at the same time don't have to be at odds with each other, and so we'll use whatever weapons and gear we find while trying to get Mage gear as quickly as possible. Once Mage gear is obtained, then we'll switch to only Mage. Once 2 houses had been assembled and a few slimes killed for their gel, we started our journey to the left side of the world in search for the cave. This is where we begin the first phase of my secret road map. We want to gather the gems and cobwebs needed to make a gem robe, a Mage armor I swear most people don't actually utilize. While we're at it, we'll also be looking for gems to make our first weapon, and if we're lucky, we'll come across a wand of sparking, which does raise an important point of this run. My roadmap is meant to be as repeatable as possible, while also utilizing all the Mage gear available in pre-hard mode and killing every boss. Weapons such as the Wand of Sparking and Extractinator are notoriously unreliable finds. I'd use the wand if I found one because it's not exactly OP, but even if the traveling merchant were to sell a Extractinator, I will not be buying it. This run has to prove that Mage is viable without relying entirely on good RNG. I found an oddly placed golden chest with a mace in it. Right next to it is a treasure room with Hermes boots, and after mining down a very short distance, what the heck is with the loot in this world? What on earth? It's only a magic mirror, but I'm already feeling a little uneasy because this run can't be RNG reliant, and right now I've had 3 golden chests in very close proximity to each other. You're not wrong to suspect foul play. This is not normal where these gold chests have been. Something does not feel right. We come across an emerald gem tree, but this world has silver ore, not tungsten, which raises what I think is a very important point. I made a video about how to fix pre-hard mode Mage that talks about ways I think the gem staves can be fixed and some of their problems, but I focused too much on the ruby and diamond staff. Really, all gem staves have one major issue, and that is, no matter the run, you will always be partially reliant on RNG, such as this world, where I'm finding mostly emeralds at the start, but it's a silver world. If I found sapphires, I could make a quick staff, but instead, I'm stuck with emeralds and, well, a not corresponding ore. Now, I forget whether silver shimmers into tungsten or vice versa, but to make a class viable early game, you can't force them to rely on finding the shimmer. That would be really dumb. So what I think should happen is that gem staves should be more cross-compatible, so to speak. Copper and tin should both be able to make topaz and amethyst staffs. Tungsten and silver can both make emerald and sapphire. The variety in the staff's power is so minimal, it might as well be removed and be made easier to obtain. Particularly because diamond staff is the best staff in the game, but can only be obtained in a platinum world unless you fish, farm slimes, or do some other thing that would also be obnoxious but might not be nearly as outlandish as I first thought, but we'll get to that later. That said, this world did happen to get blessed with platinum and more golden chests. That's 4 in hardly any time at all, and yet there has only been 1 actually useful item in them. I found some more emeralds, which I guess is still helpful for a gem robe and maybe even a hook if we find enough. Oh, and I guess I should mention that this world is on master mode because in order to prove the viability of my roadmap, it must be plausible to follow on the hardest difficulty. Where are the life crystals? Is this an amber tree? It was weird finding amber, but not in the desert. Strangely, I'm finding a lot of platinum and some silver, but no copper. I've also only been finding emeralds, so I'm not having any luck finding what I need to make my first mage weapon. There was some copper eventually, but it's also strange going out of my way to mine copper of all things. I got super lucky with water walking boots in this random water chest, and this diamond gemcorn tree dropped me 4 diamonds. I found a whole 2 more golden chests with a mace and a magic mirror before finding one of the nicest generated glowing mushroom biomes I've ever seen with 4 whole life crystals inside. This is sizable, isn't it? That is a long, flat, glowing mushroom. This mining trip allowed me to craft emerald robes so we could get our first piece of armor, but we are still missing a weapon, which does raise a pretty obvious and very important point with Mage. The ability to get a weapon early game is RNG reliant in the extreme, and so it could take a comparatively long time to actually get your hands on something. What I can't help but wonder is why not make the Wand of Sparking craftable? Say 99 torches and wood make the Wand of Sparking. We already have 99 frost torches and the Wand of Sparking I think make the Wand of Frosting. And it's not like the Wand of Sparking is a great weapon or anything. Giving the mage an early game weapon that is a tad easier to obtain would really go a long way. It's not going to do much for the purist, who's not willing to use their copper short sword, but for those who have enough sense to actually use their starting gear, this would make the Wand of Sparking a real option for the early game. You could even do what I did and get the merchant to spawn real quick and buy the needed torches. No slime farming required. Remove the wand from wooden chests, put more agates in their place, and I think everybody would be happier for it. Now I'm exploring the surface some more, primarily to collect stars, and while I'm at it, raid the living trees I come across. And the first chest has a finch staff, which just has to be the worst timing to find one of these things in my first living chest. None of the wooden chests had a Wand of Sparking, of course. Across a strangely generated desert that won't last 2 seconds in hard mode, and we find an uprooted living tree that has, count them, 3 spears, and no other wood chest could be found on the right side of the world. Only an ocean that must be really low on the y-axis, because I don't think I've ever seen an ocean where you could actually get into the ocean background walls to like appear, and there's kelp growing down here. It's really interesting. I've only seen these in those deep water caves before. While we're at home though, the traveling merchant happened to show up, so let's see if he's got something for us. All right, Mr. Magic Man, what do you got? Watch him have a Zapinator. Oh, no Zapinator. He does have the bamboo leaf. The blue chick, I want to go to another world and cheat that in, just so I have my little friend. We did finally craft our first mage weapon here, the amethyst staff. Finally, we're able to play as mage, and I'm immediately confronted by a devastating reality. This weapon is actually one of the worst weapons that exists. The only thing it's got going for it is that it has some range, but genuinely, I think it's actually worse than the copper short sword. Apparently, assuming you never run out of mana, the DPS can be slightly better than the sword, but what really sucks about it is how slow it is and how little knockback it inflicts. This is a travesty of a weapon, and yet again, gives ammunition to the early game mage haters, because it would genuinely be better to never craft this thing and use a copper short sword, even if you're a mage. I wouldn't fully learn this lesson until I did something dumb and mined into the desert to raid it. See, I'm in search for a thunder zapper and amber. The best way to do this early game is to mine along the edges of the desert and hope you find a treasure chest there, as opposed to going right through the heart of the biome. But I'm here now, and so I'm committed, and this weapon, the amethyst staff, can't hardly kill even the larva. If an enemy is on my tail, I have no knockback with which to keep them away. Even with its minimal mana cost, I still have to recharge several times. Even against the flying antlions, running is my only option. To prepare for a lot more mining, I made a platinum pickaxe, but it's a blood moon. I have no option to fight, I must flee and hope for the best. I can't even fight these mobs. I genuinely can't. Would any other class have fared better? I'm not sure. It's definitely pretty bad, but I wonder where I would be at this point if I were playing any other class. Well, let's think. I found a mace and could have made a flaming mace, which would pierce, have knockback, and do decent damage if I were melee. I could have crafted a platinum bow as a ranger and summoner. Well, summoner isn't really better off than mage at this point of the game. I guess I lucked into a fledgling staff, but that's unreliable at best. It really is just odd how the mage has to mine the same ores that range or melee do for their weapons, but the mage is also required to find often rare gems to craft their weapons, but also has to hope that those gems happen to match the kind of ore that they're finding, and the weapons that they can craft from them are arguably, and well, maybe just verifiably worse than the range and melee counterparts. I like the idea of gems, it feels more like a mage thing, but the vibes don't matter when it makes the class much less functional. I'm finally taking my advice of mining along the side of the desert, and this is where I realized something that could fundamentally change how I view mage class. Those right there are desert fossils. Earlier I said you could only get platinum or whatever ores that you didn't naturally generate in your world by fishing or slimes. But this is another method you could obtain them, and it's not necessarily that hard either. You're reliant on finding an Extractinator, which is super hit or miss and almost entirely RNG related, but you can mine so much of the silt and desert fossils and stuff that you could get everything that you need from them. Also, the desert where you find these desert fossils often has Extractinators out in the open. I had no luck with finding the Thunder Zapper, by the way, but being here is making me consider the possibility that there is missed potential that the desert has for Mage. I think of this as a purely ranger biome, but with the Thunder Zapper, Amber, and desert fossils, thoroughly exploring this biome could be the ticket for early game Mage. With about 200 fossils, I got most of the Amber and fossils I need for an Amber Staff. Admittedly, there's barely enough ore to make 1 or 2 bars of some of them, but if I were to harvest silt, then ores would be a little more common. So, is Mage actually Extractinator class early game? Is this a lesser known method for gearing up? Yes, but also it's an extra step that other classes don't need to do for less reward. There's also one big problem with early game desert. It's really dangerous, especially as a squishy mage. Even after crafting the much stronger Amber Staff, I kept on dying over and over again. Oh, we're dying way too much. One thing I suppose I hadn't done, however, was craft more armored pieces. Mage's gem robes only take the chest piece slot, so of course I'm just going to fill in the rest of the space with other armored pieces. Why not? The class leaves it open, so I'm going to take advantage of those slots. We need a wizard hat for sure, but this will help significantly with the desert. And the desert in particular is likely mostly a problem because the worms would not stop spawning. And with a staff that only pierces once, these things are not very easy to kill. And just to communicate how frequently these were spawning, here's this clip. Are you another? Stop! Enough worms! Come on! Let me explore the flippin' desert without getting bombarded with worms. Stop! Not 60 seconds later, there's... Oh my goodness, the stupid... With the newly collected Amber, we had Amber Robes, which gives us a set that's on tier with Ruby, only overshadowed by Diamond, which just adds to my confusion as to how Mage was designed. Again, I repeat, why is Diamond the strongest? I get it because, well, diamonds, but your world gen will determine whether Ruby or Diamond Staff is the final one you get, unless you want to go with the Extractinator class. You know what isn't reliant on world gen? Amber. Why not make Amber the strongest? It's annoying as all get out to get, because the underground desert sucks, but every person, no matter the world, will have equal opportunity to get one of these. This whole experience is just revealing how pre-boss Mage, at the very least, needs a lot of tiny little tweaks to make it more bearable. It doesn't even need massive changes. Even just upping the damage of all the stabs by like 2 would go a long way, or maybe even increase their knockback slightly. It wouldn't take much. Oh, diamonds! Hey! There are some things that I've found to be better than I thought they were if we played Mage a little differently. Like actually focus on collecting things like silt and going to the desert for fossils and easier Extractinator finds early game. And one really cool detail I missed in my video about how to fix Mage is that gem robes actually increase the spawn rate of Tim by 5 times, assuming you don't have a wizard hat already equipped. This makes farming a wizard hat barely a pain at all, other than the process of mining straight down until you reach the appropriate depth. Not sure where that is, but in the meantime, I found a summoner's paradise. Oh my goodness! What? This is great for me and my roadmap as well. See, my plan is to actually fight deerclops after the Eye of Cthulhu, maybe after the brain. Why? For the weather pane, a criminally underused weapon because of the boss you get it from, and a weapon that I think is more appropriately used right before or right after the evil boss. We'll see if my roadmap works. we still have a few more things to take care of first, and the traveling merchant spawned for a third time, and for the third time was not selling any of his magic gear, further emphasizing how you can't rely on him for magic stuff, and so we're going to avoid using what he sells even if he does sell it. In another expedition, we got a cloud in a bottle and almost full health, raided the Sky Islands, blew up Crimson Hearts to make the Goblin Army spawnable, and cross our fingers for a Crimson Rod, only to get a second Undertaker instead. I have no gel to make a slime crown with, so after assembling an arena, we're going to kill the Eye of Cthulhu first. Is he actually difficult for Mage? Granted, I have a diamond staff, which is a little better than Ruby, but it shouldn't make that much of a difference. I also placed some stars in a bottle around the arena.
Now there's going to be one very important thing that you're going to need to keep in mind, maybe watch for as we fight the Eye. That thing is the fact that we are going to very carefully and very intentionally try to never go below half of our mana.
See, mana regenerates faster the more you have, so by not going below half mana, I'll be able to shoot more, in theory, and spend a lot less time running around doing no damage as I wait for it to charge. However, the Servants of Cthulhu changed the math a little.
How much can I spam the diamond staff while still keeping my mana really high? With the Celestial Magnet and the Servants of Cthulhu, I'm able to keep my mana above half without really trying right now. I don't know exactly how fast the others would be killing the Eye right now. We're going to try now to keep these servants alive as long as possible. Only kill them when we have lower mana, so that way we can recharge it a little bit easier.
The fight was actually very easy. I dare say better than most other classes at this point, other than maybe Ranger. The chinks in the armor, the problem with Mage, didn't really have an impact until the very end of the battle. With the Eye dashing around like a madman and the slowness of my projectiles, it was hard to hit the Eye, and if I missed too much, I'd run out of mana and be incapable of dealing damage at all. I went from winning without hardly being hit to almost dying in the final seconds of the battle while I was hardly able to deal any damage to the Eye. If there had been more Servants of Cthulhu to farm mana stars from, then we probably would have been fine, which is something I mentioned in my video about fixing Mage. The bosses with no minions are actually the hardest for Mage to deal with due to the lack of mana stars to collect. After some slime farming, we crafted slime crowns, but we'll have to kill the Goblin Army before taking down the Gelatinous King. Fighting the goblins? I had a realization.
Mage, I think, is definitely shines the most during events, because that's where you can get all the mana stars and allows you to just keep on attacking without needing to stop. Events are absolutely Mage's strong points.
At the same time, early game Mage needs an infinite piercing weapon. Melee has flails, or even the blade of grass, or Light's Bane to kill enemies from behind blocks. Ranger has Jester's arrows, but I guess overall doesn't actually have much better options than the Mage class. The Violet Thorn would be great here, which once again I think proves that the Crimson Rod and Violet Thorn need to be obtainable in either World Evil. Either that or make a different Mage weapon that is just focused on piercing. The Diamond Staff was kind of just a fine weapon with decent damage and one pierce, and maybe in the end no change needs to be made because I'm not sure other classes would have it nearly as good as Mage does now. Take whatever I say with a grain of salt. I need to play the other classes in the same way I'm playing Mage right now to come to a more informed conclusion. Now to King Slime, who you'd imagine would be easier than Eye of Cthulhu, and in some ways, yes, because he presents a large and slow-moving target. In some ways, no. The reason being that it's actually a lot more difficult to collect mana stars. Not stupid hard or anything, but instead of one-shotting the little tiny servants of Cthulhu, it takes multiple shots, and instead of being slow-moving eyes that fly towards you, these are slimes that periodically jump, thus messing with your aim. It was surprisingly not that easy to fight King Slime.
Kill some of his little friends. There we go.
I guess I have some explaining to do as to why I've been so focused on mana stars and haven't visited the jungle at all yet. You might be wondering why I haven't found a nature's gift and crafted a mana potion. The reason is that I hate the mana flower with a fiery passion, which you already know if you've seen my video on fixing Mage. To me, the ideal is that you never have to use mana potions, and if you do so very strategically to either finish the boss or kill an enemy for a mana star to rejigger your regen. And so I'm not going to get a nature's gift this run, not ever, and if I do, I'll throw it away. and we will not use a single mana potion this run. This is part of my Mage roadmap that might make things more difficult than they need to be, but I think will ultimately be beneficial. I also won't be using mana power or mana regen potions. Once I found redemption by killing King Slime, I wanted to run off to slay the brain, but first, Thunder Zapper. Why? Because it is arguably better than the Diamond Staff, especially with its faster projectiles, but also because it has stronger knockback. Or at least I would say that if I hadn't double checked the wiki and learned that the Diamond Staff technically has stronger knockback, but I don't believe it. I swear that the Thunder Zapper keeps enemies away noticeably better. Maybe it's just because it's faster, whatever the case, we're finding one. Little did I know that the Thunder Zapper would be absolutely impossible to find. For one, because I kept dying, and when I did find chests, they didn't have the Thunder Zapper in it. We got a Storm Spear, a Snake's Charmer's Flute, two of them right next to each other, a second Chisel.
We are getting zero luck. I found 3 desert chests in close proximity. We found 2 Charmer Flute and another Chisel. We found 2 Storm Spears. So we found 6 desert chests and 0 Thunder Zappers.
And we're just getting started. Some exploration later, we find a shell phone.
I think there's always a Thunder Zapper in a world. I doubt it's possible for there not to be.
A second pair of Dune Riders were found. We've explored this much of the desert, so we're going to start using Spelunker potions to help clear out the rest of this stinking biome.
I wish to complain. I want to file a complaint with the manager. Red, why did you do this? I have explored this much desert and haven't found a Thunder Zapper? I have to assume it's here. It has to be in this dark spot, right? If it's not there, I am cheating 1 in. So help me. So help me. The 3rd Chisel! Of course, oh, worm. And yeah, sure. Why not? Why not a worm? Found another treasure chest though, chat. For all you Thunder Zapper doubters. Here it is. It's here. It's in this treasure chest, inside this treasure room. I didn't need to fish. Why? Because it's right here. Right here. Right here. Like I said, chat. Boom! Thunder Zapper acquired! It's been acquired! I am good now! We're fine!
If you could not tell, because I was doing a very good job at concealing it, I was not in fact doing well. We spent some 2 hours searching for that Thunder Zapper, and that's just ridiculous, and it has me quite scared for what's ahead of me.
This does not bode well for a guy who also needs a Crimson Rod, 2, count them, 2, panic necklaces, a weather pane, bee gun. Who knows what our luck's gonna be like the rest of this run, chat. We might be cooked.
And so into the Crimson we went to make a quick arena. Brain is very likely going to be one of the hardest bosses for Mage to beat because during first phase, Mage is almost 0 piercing, and so the creepers will be far more difficult to deal with, and during second phase, we'll have no minions to kill for extra mana, so it'll be perhaps impossible to continuously attack the Brain, which I'm fairly certain is required to keep the Brain from crushing me.
I don't think I've ever once gotten 2 Goblin armies pre-Brain. Alright. Let's see if we get lucky. That is my 3rd Undertaker. I've gotten 3 Undertakers. Okay, so this is just the ant. I'm running Mage, and Terraria knew it. Oh, I'm getting juggled. I can't.
But that's fine, we want to have the Crimson Cloud for this battle anyways.
4 Undertakers in a row! Okay.
The next one had a Rotted Fork, which at least it wasn't an Undertaker.
What is my luck in this game?
In the last orb, I tossed a bomb and ran so we don't get caught and pinned up against a wall again. The battle did not go very well at all. I don't have anything to increase my mana regen at this point. I even forgot to put stars in a bottle up around the arena, and the creepers have enough health that I can go through all my mana and not kill a single one, meaning no stars drop. Eventually, I could kill a few creepers, but as they only pierce once, it's hard to break through and kill them, and so the battle just didn't end up going my way. Let's add a campfire and stars in a bottle and get to a 3rd attempt. The last heart I broke happened to drop my 2nd Rotted Fork.
Hey, we got a panic necklace. All right, that's one thing we needed. We should definitely go home and craft that and mana star power. I haven't found any bands of regen though, so I can't get my mana one that I really want. I am not having any good luck here. All right, we got 2 panic necklaces though. We did need 2, so that's cool.
With 2 panic necklaces, I will make 2 bands of star power and then 2 mana regeneration bands, one of which will be left as is and the other will be turned into celestial cuffs. Because, you see, one of the reasons people are playing Mage wrong is because we always upgrade the mana regeneration band, but as it turns out, doing this causes it to lose the very important ability that greatly increases your mana regeneration rate. If people never upgraded this thing, we would have figured out we didn't need mana potions years ago. As we fight Brain a 3rd time, I need to stress how big of a difference this accessory makes. With it, you can continue to move around during a boss battle and regenerate your mana without sitting around like an idiot for what feels like an eternity. It halves the regeneration delay after spending mana. It increases the regeneration rate anywhere from 2.8 mana per second to 14.4 mana per second, with the rate being higher when you have a higher percentage of your mana remaining. Strangely, this accessory regenerates your mana faster when you have less mana, because each tick of mana would then be a greater percentage of your total mana, making this a really strange accessory for Mage, but still absolutely worth using. So much so that I'd call it game-changing. Back to the battle, I'm out of mana, and enemies to kill to acquire more mana.
Without any potions, I'm just stuck on that part. Ooh.
Perhaps this strategy of mine requires that Mage accept that for certain bosses you need mana potions. Either that or I need other upgrades. Once the goblins were slain, I headed underground and searched for bands of regeneration and the Goblin Tinkerer. We got a magic mirror and shoe spikes and another magic mirror, cloud and bottle, one band of regen that I need, a full mining loadout, started talking about the dead man's chest and how easy they are to detect.
But it's not even hard. Like, if you see a chest out in the open, not in a treasure room, if it's in a treasure room, you're safe. If it's not in one, all you have to do is spend exactly a split second to look around it and say, does it look like there's any traps, any at all, near this thing? Usually you'll even see the traps as you approach the chest. Okay, I admit I did almost open that one, but I was looking at chat and not paying attention, all right? Oh!
It took a while, but we found the Goblin Tinkerer and more shoe spikes, at which point we'd spent about a half hour searching for bands of regen. We still need one more, but maybe that'll be enough. Only problem is that to craft the band of star power, we need an ectomist biome, and I haven't been collecting my tombstones. On the bright side, I know the desert has plenty of headstones. 2 bands of star power were crafted, and 1 mana regeneration band.
All right, there we go. We have a weird loadout right now.
This is making me realize that my complaint about Mage having very few accessories actually holds very little water. Ranger and Summoner have 0 class-specific accessories pre-hard mode. Mage, meanwhile, has 2 crafting trees with their accessories, and using accessories in different phases of these trees results in you having several options. The real complaint should be that there are none in hard mode, just the emblem everyone gets and the one single upgrade, Celestial Emblem. And I guess the 3 that require you to use the mana flower, but as we talked about, I hate that thing, and so these 3 become a whole lot less usable for me. We return to Brain.
Also, we've gotten 3 panic necklaces, 2 rotted forks, 3 undertakers, and not one crimson rod. Oh no. No! And neither of them are the Crimson Cloud!
Now, nothing I've done has actually made it easier to deal with the Brain in first phase. I just have to play really well, and other enemies spawning and crawling into the arena is not helpful with that. But we reached second phase, and the increased mana regen proved incredibly helpful. And yet, other times I've fought the Brain, I learned that you basically can never stop attacking it to keep it off your back. So how is this going to work? With nothing but pure, unbridled skill.
The way that this last phase is designed, it's almost like it was made to counteract Mage specifically. Like, Mage is reliant either on chugging potions in order to brute its way through the Brain, or else it's stuck recharging its mana forever, which is exactly when the Brain is meant to strike. Oh, the stupid face monster. Making life so difficult Dang, we still have like 1,000 health. Ah! Dude! This is rough! At least I seem to have gotten a really good rhythm down here. This is the most intense brain fight I have ever had. Oh my goodness. 2 seconds. Come on, heal. Thank you. That's big. That's big. Oh my goodness. Now imagine if we had a Crimson Rod to help with our damage. Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Oh, that was actually a lot of fun. Way harder than it needed to be. But that was actually a lot of fun. I enjoyed myself.
When I did my whole no-hitting journey, I was told that you're supposed to stay mostly still against Brain. But I decided to run around like a maniac, finding that it worked better for me. And I now rest my case forever. Dashing at the perfect moment between his teleportations works wonders against this thing. What sucks is we didn't even have a Crimson Rod, and I ran out of hearts to break in that Crimson biome.
Oh, finally. On our 11th?
Mage really does just suffer in pre-hard mode Crimson Worlds. The Vile Thorn makes a world of difference. Killing the Eater is not a problem at all with that weapon. Granted, if you can't get it and had the luck I had with the Crimson Rod, I bet Eater would be just as painful. Regardless, the Vile Thorn I think is quite obviously better than the Crimson Rod. With the evil boss down though, it was time to get Meteor gear. With this gear, we're moving straight to Deerclops. I view this boss as a later pre-hard mode boss, and the wiki would appear to say the same, but I think in reality, Deerclops should be considered a pretty early hard mode boss, or sorry, pre-hard mode boss. All her drops are pretty weak and balanced more for the early game. That on top of the fact that she does not despawn after death, and I believe she is meant to be fought and struggled against early game. I originally planned on killing her pre-brain, and a weather pane would have gone a long way against the brain, so maybe it should be in that order, but for reasons I can't really remember at this point, I decided to go with brain first in this run. Once you figure out Deerclops' pattern, she isn't the worst to deal with, and only killed me a few times, due in part by the fact that I didn't make the arena like I should have. But pro tip, if you're able to figure out how to trick her into using her little ice chunks attack, but also move her onto platforms where there's no snow, the attack actually does nothing. No ice chunks happen, so bring her onto platforms and try to bait her into using that attack makes her really easy to deal with. And after some of the worst luck in the world with the Thunder Zapper and Crimson Rod, I lucked out and caught the Weather Pane after the first fight. The important thing to know about the Weather Pane is that it's not a main weapon. I used to shoot this thing like a regular staff and always thought it sucked, but then someone taught me that you're supposed to just shoot it and switch weapons. The tornado will then stick around and keep doing damage for you. This is how you actually use it. We set up some housing in the jungle that we are now going to raid for jungle armor. Is meteor armor meant to be after jungle armor? Maybe. They're basically the same tier, and it just depends on if you want to do a full mana build or infinite space gun build. For this run where we're mana focused, avoiding potions altogether, I figured we'd use jungle armor. It also gives you more stat boost than meteor armor, so in the end I think it's better unless you got a Zapinator or plan on space gun spam. Thankfully this requires no luck at all, so it takes no time to get jungle armor, but before killing Queen Bee, I need the magic cuffs that requires a shackle. Guess who doesn't have a shackle somehow? This guy! I also need another banner regen, and I'll spare you most of the over 30 minutes I spent to find another one.
Come on, banner regen. How about you appear to me? Cause I could use you right about now. We'll just keep on singing non-stop until we find another treasure chest that could have the banner regen inside. Oh yeah! Come on! regen! We're gonna get you, we're gonna find you. You can't hide from me forever. We're gonna find the band of regen. Oh, we found another treasure room. Now it's time to find out if it's a band of regen. Let's do a little like dance or something for it. We got, you know, band of regen. You're the best regen band a guy could ever ask for. So if you could please, oh pretty please. Oh my goodness!
This has been the worst luck run ever, and since I have no shackle and night has ended, I had to make an ectomist to keep zombies spawning so I could farm for a shackle. I happened to get a little luck with a blood moon, and after farming for 15 minutes, I finally got a shackle and made celestial cuffs. I could have farmed for a shark tooth necklace, which would actually be great for using the bee gun, but I kind of forgot and kind of feel like the blood moon is an unreliable event. I may have gotten it twice, though one time was really early. Sometimes it's quick, but sometimes I play for almost 10 hours and never get one, so I kind of decided against using it. Finally geared with all the accessories I want, I made an arena to fight Queen Bee in. Fighting Queen Bee made me realize that the mage really doesn't have much in the way of upgrades to its primary weapon options until Queen Bee or the dungeon. It's Thunder Zapper and Diamond Staff all the way to this point, which is a little weird. Weatherpain and Crimson Rod are both the secondary weapons. Strangely, despite all of that, and saying that the Space Gun is not meant to be a primary weapon myself, it's what I ended up using as my primary, with the Weatherpain and Crimson Rod adding more damage. It's weird using the Space Gun without meteor armor, but it actually worked really well due to its piercing against the little bees the boss spawned. This kept my mana up. The Weatherpain was a great addition for some more damage, but I did find it very often chased down the bees' minions and random mobs interrupting the fight. This was helpful, as it meant I could focus on the boss myself, but didn't do a lot to help with my damage output against the boss. It also struggled to keep up with her during her dashes. The first one I killed didn't drop the bee gun. I died in the second one with only 69 health remaining, and the second victory awarded me the bee gun. I didn't really understand the love for the bee gun. It's really low damage unless you focus hard on a bee build using the high pack and stinger necklace. I don't think that really works, removing all of your other important accessories just for some more bees, but this mage build of mine would allow for it to work. If only I had the stinger necklace. Kind of regret not farming for one, but we are where we are with just the hide pack to use against Skeletron. Pretty sure the armor penetration of the Sharktooth necklace is what makes the bees actually really good, so the results of using the bee gun and Skeletron were a little underwhelming. What was pretty interesting was using the Weatherpain and bees, both of which are homing weapons that stick around for a while, so even though Skeletron has no minions dropping mana stars for me, I could stop attacking and recharge my mana while bees and the tornado continued doing at least a little damage. The problem with the homing, however, was that they often attacked the head and not the hands. The damage was small but consistent, and has me curious how fast other classes would be killing Skeletron at this point. This is also my first time using the strategy against Skeletron. I think it works, and the bee gun would probably be pretty good in the dungeon for crowd control, but with that, Skeletron is dead, and we reached the point of the game most people say Mage is actually an acceptable class to play. It was super fun trying to plan out a new route for Mage to take and putting its strengths and weaknesses to the test, and keep in mind that this isn't necessarily how you should play Mage or how it is best played, but rather me putting Mage to the test to try and find out how viable it actually is, try some strategies that most people have overlooked or haven't considered, and make the whole process as repeatable as possible, with as little grinding as possible. Just hopefully you don't have as bad of luck as I did. I'll have to try this with other classes and do a comparison video, but in the meantime, if you enjoyed this video, you should watch this one where I give my ideas as to how to fix Mage in Terraria. Some of the ideas were changed or improved upon in the making of this video, but there's still a lot of ideas that I think could make Mage even better pre-Skeletron.